Procrastination, the invisible companion of our daily lives. Every day, we all face some task or responsibility and tell ourselves, I'll do it later. That later is usually a magical word that really means not today, and often not even tomorrow. In psychology, this habit is called procrastination. It's not just laziness. It's a mechanism our brain uses to avoid the stress or discomfort that comes with a difficult or unpleasant task. Procrastination shows up in many forms. You might open the fridge just to see what's inside and suddenly find yourself organizing the cupboards or dusting while the task you needed to do sits untouched. Sometimes you say, just one more episode of a show, and suddenly it's 2 a.m. and you've watched 3 extra episodes. These small, everyday moments are the most innocent expressions of procrastination, yet the core is always the same. Psychologically, procrastination is linked to 2 main factors: discomfort avoidance and the pursuit of instant gratification. Our brains crave pleasure now and avoid stress, even if it means the future becomes filled with problems. This explains why we put off something we know will cost us time or effort, favoring activities that give us immediate satisfaction. Procrastination creates a vicious cycle. The more we delay, the higher our anxiety and guilt rise. Our mind then finds more excuses to keep postponing, while the task remains untouched. Psychologists call this a self-fulfilling inhibition. Procrastination fuels anxiety, and anxiety fuels procrastination. Procrastination isn't just about big tasks. It can appear in small, everyday activities. For example, a student who leaves an assignment until the last minute, even knowing it will take days to complete properly. An employee who delays replying to emails or starting a project, spending time online or chatting with colleagues instead. Anyone with a to-do list who keeps putting off the most important items because they feel stressful or boring. Sometimes procrastination shows up in subtler ways. Someone might delay calling a friend they haven't spoken to in a while, put off starting a workout, or postpone organizing their home. Each small delay may seem insignificant, but cumulatively, it creates a background of stress and pressure. One of the main reasons we procrastinate is lack of clear goals. When a task feels big and vague, our minds are afraid to start. Psychologists call this paralysis by analysis. Instead of taking action, the mind gets stuck on details or potential problems and ultimately decides to do nothing. Another cause is perfectionism. If we wait for everything to be perfect before starting, it's easy to never start at all. The brain thinks, if it's not ideal, better not do it. The problem is that nothing becomes perfect if we don't start. Procrastination can also be linked to self-doubt. When we don't believe we can complete something, or fear we won't do it well enough, we'd rather not start at all. Essentially, our brain is trying to protect us from failure, but the result is even greater pressure over time. A common example from daily life. Imagine a student who has a presentation in a week. Every day they say, I'll start tomorrow. Meanwhile, they watch videos, scroll through social media, do household chores. When the presentation day arrives, anxiety, guilt, and stress peak, and performance suffers. This shows how procrastination acts as a small trap, increasing stress instead of reducing discomfort. Another dimension involves relationships and social life. Putting off obligations or social interactions can create small tensions with friends or colleagues. Procrastination may bring temporary relief, but over time it affects trust and reliability, showing how easily it can extend beyond the individual. Fortunately, there are ways to tackle it. One of the most effective strategies is the micro-goaling technique. Instead of seeing a task as a huge mountain, break it into smaller pieces that can be done in minutes. For example, instead of saying, I'll write the entire report, you can say, I'll write just 100 words now. The key is to start. Once you do, momentum usually follows. Self-monitoring is another helpful technique. By noting when we procrastinate, why we do it, and how we feel in the moment, we gain awareness of our patterns. Awareness is the first step to change, because without it, procrastination keeps acting like an invisible controller in our lives. Using rewards also helps. When we complete a small step, we can treat ourselves, a short break, a snack, a few minutes of relaxation. This sense of reward strengthens positive habits and makes the next step easier. Procrastination is closely tied to self-efficacy. When we feel capable of handling a task, we delay less. Conversely, low self-confidence leads to procrastination, as we fear we won't succeed. Sometimes procrastination can teach us something about ourselves. By observing when we delay, we can recognize our weaknesses, fears, and motivations. For example, someone may realize they procrastinate on tasks they don't trust themselves to handle or don't find interesting. This insight is power, as it allows us to adjust how we work and reduce stress. Procrastination is also often linked to emotional regulation. Many people delay tasks to avoid unpleasant feelings like anxiety, fear of failure, or boredom. Understanding this allows us to manage these emotions better, learning relaxation, breathing, or mindfulness techniques. Over the long term, chronic procrastination can impact health, relationships, and professional life. Constant delays create a cycle of anxiety and guilt, which can lead to lower self-esteem, feelings of inadequacy, and even health problems from chronic stress. In the end, daily life, with all its little delays, is a balancing act between the immediate and the long term. When we learn to capture a bit of the now without losing the tomorrow, procrastination becomes less dominant and more understandable. And maybe, just maybe, we'll finally open that notebook, write that report, or reply to that email without checking our phone every 3 seconds. Procrastination is like a companion we didn't choose, but who is always there. We can ignore it, fear it, or use it to our advantage. The choice is ours. And knowledge is power. When we understand what's happening inside us, we can act smarter, more consciously, and more effectively.